sensation of sound. It could be the most overwhelming way of perception. Sound can be mellow and fragile. But also massive and striking. Sound can be deep and thrilling. It can fill rooms. It can fill hearts. And it has the power to shape the identity of a car.
Yeah， 我们给炮手们一个最热烈的掌声！谢谢带来这么精彩的表演 ，Let's the party begin！ 现在我们欢迎台湾富士集团及台湾 Audi 总裁 ，Welcome onto the stage。Volkswagen Group Taiwan and Audi Taiwan Managing Director, Mr. Matthias Schepers. Welcome, Matthias, to our e-tron launch party. 我们给我们的总裁一个最热烈的掌声。Good afternoon, Matthias. 然后在 Matthias 后面，我们的 Dark Blue Sport Back.
A warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Taipei City Hall. Maybe I give you a music hall, Maybe I give you a second to put on your translation device, if you're all right. Okay, so once again, friends from the press, thank you for your time. Warm welcome for coming here on such a rainy day. We as Audi are very honored to be the first commercial enterprise that is allowed to have an event right here in this music hall. We are the first. There will be many to follow. You can quote me on that. But I really like to say thanks to the team for organizing this location. This car that you see here, it took us more than 2 years of planning to finally get it. And we're so happy that we can celebrate this day today here with you. Before I go into my short presentation, I'll give you a simple run-through of today. After my presentation, the Audi experts will tell you about the product, the e-tron. essentially, the e-tron is 110 years of automotive manufacturing combined with the latest technology. But it's still an Audi. It feels, it drives, and smells like an Audi. Then another expert will explain to you about our concept of the eco-environment. Because we at Audi, we believe anybody, and others have done so, can just bring a car into the Taiwanese market. But that's not our thinking. Our thinking is, apart from the product, you need an ecosystem, you need partners to work with. You need to explain to the customer how serious we are in this transition to e-mobility. And you will get more explanations on that later. And last but not least, we will invite you on stage to share with us the joy of having this car now here in Taiwan, and I'm looking forward for your expert opinion on that. So let me get right into my presentation. Let me briefly reflect a few words on the Audi brand. You can see the Urquattro in the 80s. Audi, when this car came, before, everybody said four-wheel drive is slow, it's heavy, it cannot turn corners. But we defeated all these thinking, and we introduced this technology in rally racing, and we showed it to everybody. Actually, it's a winning formula. You know the picture in the middle, very famous, where the Quattro goes up the ski ramp. And also, the other picture you see is the famous 24 Hours of Le Mans, where Audi was among many victories it had. In 1 year, we showed the world that with a diesel engine, you can win the famous 24 Hours of Le Mans. So the Audi brand, in its 110 years of history, always stood for challenging conventions, challenging the norm, changing the status quo, and above all, being brave. Try something new, don't be afraid of failure. This Audi DNA is here with us in the Audi team in Taiwan as I speak. But it's also evolving. And we have now a global campaign that takes this technological driven Audi DNA into new levels. And we call it Future is an Attitude. And this Future is an Attitude is about our mindset. How we, as a car company for more than 100 years, how we change, how we transform within the changing environment. And just recently, a global campaign based on this thinking, of this attitude was released, and I would like to share this with you today.
We all look at the same world, but we all look at it in a different way. Some see a concept, we see potential. Some just see sheer speed. We see inspirational engineering. Some just see beautiful lines. We see character. Some see a new light. We see a new vision. Some see a factory. We see progress. Some see a new motor. We see a new era. Some see what's there. We see beyond.
So this new era has arrived with the e-tron. And that's why the e-tron is not just a model launch for us. And you probably feel this today for this event. It's more than a launch of a new model. It's important for us as a brand shaper, a brand driver, because Audi, we believe, we want to lead the industry in this transformation. Now, talking about Audi globally, with this product, we would like to contribute on our mission, Mission Zero we call it, because we, as an automotive company, want to be CO2 neutral by 2050. We also want to have green production. That is, for example, where the car is produced in Brussels in Belgium, already this factory is a CO2 neutral production facility. And after all, we want to contribute to the sustainable future, sustainable city living. We as a car company, we believe this is also an obligation of us to do. That's why the e-tron is really something more than a four-wheel, new, super luxurious, beautiful looking car. It's really an attitude towards our future. Audi has gone electric. And this attitude, you can also manifest in numbers. You see a few up here. 150 million euros. 150 million euros will be invested by Audi for battery electric vehicles in the future. And by 2025, we will have more than 20 different kind of BEV vehicles available globally. Now let's look at Taiwan. I already told you guys, it's more than just bringing in the product. We have a comprehensive plan how to reduce the exit barrier, show to the Taiwanese consumer that we are very serious about this transformation, and also we would like to contribute to the CO2 neutral endeavors of the Taiwanese government. And that's why we have a plan, and the Audi experts will tell you more about it, but just two highlights. So for sustainability, we want to contribute to reduce CO2. We want to improve the air quality of Taiwan. We would like to contribute with our products, but also with our partners together for smart city development, to also be a consultant for the government, our cities here in Taiwan, for the future of electromobility, for the future of Taiwan. That's why we are also bringing in more and more BEV vehicles into Taiwan. You already see the e-tron here on the stage, and we'll bring a few more cars up here, and you'll see them later. This is 2020, but already next year, we have the e-tron GT ready. This is an exciting sports Grand Tourer. We will also bring a sports SUV in the same year. And then a little bit ahead, we'll bring smaller and bigger sized BEV SUVs into the Taiwanese market. So you can see, we are walking the talk. And that's why we're very confident that for Taiwan, where today we still sell 0 BEV vehicles, by 2025, the mix of Audis sold in Taiwan will be more than 30% battery electric vehicles. To do this, we need partners, we need a strategy. And our strategy is, of course, first and foremost to involve our dealers on this journey, to make them embrace BEV mobility. You must imagine our dealers have been selling regular cars for the last 50 years. They will continue to sell those, but have an absolutely new product now to sell as well. So we'll do this together with our dealers. We're working with charging partners, with CPOs, with government, with city government, electricity suppliers, to not only sell an Audi e-tron, but to promote the issue of e-mobility as a whole. And as a result, I strongly believe that we, together with you are writing about it, you are entering dialogues about the impacts of e-mobility on city infrastructure, on political thinking, on environment. We bring the products. We work with Taiwanese companies together to create the ecosystem. And then I'm very sure, not in 20, 30 years, but in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see a dramatic change, not only in the way cars are sold, but also in the way we live. That brings me already to the end of my presentation. Audi, as the spearhead of the Volkswagen Group, will invest huge amounts of money into this topic of BEV. The Volkswagen Group, with its vast resources, in terms of financial resources, but also engineering resources, is the most aggressive automotive group to shift from the conventional business model to the new business model. The train has already left the station. There's no turning back. And Audi, the Audi brand, will be the beacon of this endeavor. And together with you, I'm sure that the Audi brand will start shining here in Taiwan even more. Audi has gone electric. Thank you very much.
谢谢总裁 ，Thank
是
you。
我们希望能够靠着大家的力量，一起将这个台湾的电动车友善的电动车环境带到台湾来。那大家现在看到目前在我们舞台上面的这一些，都是我们这一次在打造纯电生活圈的非常非常重要的伙伴。所以我会简单的让大家，我们从各个不同的角度，也许从我们品牌的角度、车商的角度。从营运商的角度，从供应商的角度，甚至我们从一些就是台湾的永续发展的这个角度，来看看我们到底在电动车的发展上面，台湾有哪一些可以突破的地方，或者是可以更精进的地方。那首先呢，我有第一个问题，我想说先来请教大家的意见哦。当然，我们现在说电动车是一个不可逆的趋势，就像刚才马蒂也讲说，这几乎已经是一个 point of no return， 所以我已经在这条路上了。那究竟台湾的这个环境是不是适合发展这个电动车呢？那这个问题的话，我想先请马蒂来想一下他的想法。
Right, so I'm happy to answer that question, obviously. So, yes, a convincing yes. Obviously, Taiwan, I think, is very much destined to be one of the benchmarks in the world, I believe, for e-mobility. And there's two very simple reasons for me. One is the size, of course, in terms of driving distance. You can basically, in everyday behavior, you don't need all the mileage. You can just go easily 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers. So that is probably what most of the people need. So that's a very big advantage. The second one is, I think, the people of Taiwan, because what I see is the Taiwanese people are very interested in new technology, especially with the background of electrical engineering. So you're open-minded for new technology, and you're embracing new technology, maybe much more than other nations do. And I think these two combinations is a big reason, the factor of success for BEV vehicles here in Taiwan.
OK， 谢谢马蒂。基本上，其实我相信台湾人对于科技的这个层面，以及整个地理环境上面，在电动车的发展上面，我们是非常非常相信有它非常大的潜力在。那接下来的话，我是不是也请 Jay， 就这个一个电源的这个供应商、充电器的供应商的角度来看这个台湾，你觉得我们要怎么样能够让这个友善的环境能够建立起来？
如果在建立友善的环境来看哦，其实最主要的是统一充电的界面，还有像刚才奥迪这边有特别提到说，他们的充电站是开放给所有车厂做使用的。因为台湾现在已经慢慢的把标准制定出来是 CCS1。如果当我台湾在推荐这件事、推动这个环境的时候，我不再是某一家车厂的车到某个固定的充电站做充电，而是所有的充电站都可以服务给所有的车主。那这样的环境的建立才会更有效率。那同时这一次其实台湾奥迪选择了 Noodle， 他们在这一块其实在整个用户的体验上是做到真的是极致的部分。因为飞鸿科技与 Noodle 已经合作了4年，在怎么让消费者用最简单、最快速的方式来完成，这是一个重点。我们让消费者开电动车的时候，不会再有充电上需要很复杂，看手机、看 APP， 是用最快速的时间能够完成充电，这个是非常重要的一件事情。
谢谢 Jay。那接下来我想说，一定要请一下 John 来跟我们讲一下，从那个这个算是 CPO 的角度，或者甚至 John 你从国外有非常非常多的经验，你来看台湾的市场，你觉得在目前在这个部分的话，你有没有一些想法可以跟我们分享？
我觉得奥迪 e-tron 实在是非常适合台湾 这个市场的一台车。可以想象，在明天的世界，有一个很重要的概念就是 parking is charging。你不是要去充电，你停车就是充电，随停随充。所以表示说，当你开着你的e-tron去 shopping mall 的时候，你停车的时候就去充电，去吃饭的时候就是充电，看电影的时候就在充电，到垦丁去玩，在住宿的时候就是在充电。所以充电其实不是加油，它变成是 e-tron 的一个 lifestyle， 就是随停随充。那我很高兴看到奥迪把e-tron带到台湾来，因为这一天是我非常期待的一天。
谢谢 John。那我想说，这个充电，刚才John 这边讲到说，充电不等于加油的这个整个在 mindset 上面的改变，未来我相信在这个电动车的使用上面跟消费者的行为上面都会是一个非常非常大的转变。这也就是为什么奥迪我们这次在e-tron带到台湾来的时候，在于整个充电生活圈上面有这么多的一个布局，这也是其中一个非常重要的原因。那我们已经讲到说，好，我们竟然已经开始有很多，不只是奥迪，跟非常非常多的车厂把这一些电动车带到台湾来。那电动车的市场在台湾也非常非常快的在成长当中。那如果从商业的角度上面，我们是不是来谈一下说，在商业的角度上面，我们在台湾该怎么样能够也能够抓住这样一个电动车的一个趋势？那接下来的话，我就先请这个永续发展协会的秘书长，从这个永续经营的角度上面，您有没有给我们一些对于这些企业的一些意见？
谢谢欧迪的邀请哈，就是说因为我们都知道，其实电动车就是刚刚其实 Martis 有提到这样子一个不可逆的趋势。那这个不可逆的趋势其实也是在于说，我们现在要处理这个全球暖化的议题，所以这个大幅减碳，其实电动车会扮演一个非常非常重大的角色。我们在谈这个要到2050年要做到这个 carbon neutral， 那其实电动车这是个非常重要的途径。那怎么去扩大电动车的应用？刚刚特别有提到嘛，除了现在电动车的价格已经慢慢开始跟燃油车有竞争之外，那最重要是这个我们讲的 infrastructure， 这个 charging 的 infrastructure 是不是能够普及？那在这里我可能要跟大家提到一下，就是说，其实企业在这边有很多的角色可以扮演，除了我们有优良的厂商提供这个好的 smart 的这个 infrastructure 之外，那其实企业在它的工作场域，在它的这个营业场所，如果也能够配合大家一起来建设这些普及化的这些 charging infrastructure， 那它可以更鼓励大家来使用这个电动车。那当然，我觉得政府在这边也有扮演很重要的角色，就是说现在很多的城市也强调它是一个所谓 climate friendly 的这些 city， 那怎么去同时投资于这些 infrastructure 的建设，包括协助企业容易取得这些土地空间，包括了一些法规的一些修订。那我想这样子从政府跟企业的角度共同来创造一个更友善的这个 charging infrastructure 的环境，那对电动车的普及应用会有更大的帮助。
谢谢秘书长。我想这个部分的话，其实在发展上面，我们刚才也提到，就是希望我们电动车以奥迪的角色，我们愿意跟政府的单位一起来做合作，也希望能够就是政府也开放一些法规的问题，然后让我们能够更快速的推动这个电动车的发展。那接下来我还是想要请一下John 这边来跟我们讲一下，说从你的看法，我觉得在台湾的这个环境里面，跟您之前在北美洲做的一些环境上面，应该会有一些很不一样的finding。
到底在美国，它是一个电动车的数量比较多的一个市场，但是台湾也快了尤其是今天正是一个很好的起跑点。那大家看到今天这些漂亮的e-tron的车的时候，可能心里都会痒痒的，然后在想说买这个车真棒，那充电怎么办？回家当然就是可以充电，去微风就可以充电，去图书馆也可以充电。但是有人一定会想说，那我要环岛怎么办？这个是一个很重要的话题，所以奥迪、飞鸿跟 Noodle 我们努力在打造一个台湾的 EV 环岛充电网，所以从台北、新竹、台中、嘉义、云林、台南、高雄、垦丁、台东、花莲、这个宜兰， 几乎你到处去随时都可以充电。Audi e-tron 是可以环岛的。那这个我们会在这个各位厂商跟各位政府单位，我们会在这一方面继续努力。
好，谢谢 John。其实我们今天是一个 Audi e-tron 的上市发表会。其实我们一直在强调的是，我们不是只是用车商的角度，只是把产品带到这个台湾来。事实上，我们需要联合大家的力量，一起来把这个台湾电动车的环境变得友善，然后来发展，进一步的去有更好的这些对于环境上面的好的一些影响。那其实接下来的话，我相信在刚才也有讲到，在政府单位上面，其实会占的一个非常非常重要的角色。所以这个部分的话，我是不是请秘书长这边，您先跟我们从您的观点，到底我们从政府的部分，能不能够帮助我们做一些什么样子的推广跟推进？
这边我大概先跟大家提几个重要的数字啊，为什么这个电动车的推动这么重要？其实尤其是在城市里面，我会发觉像空气污染的问题、air pollution 这个问题哈，其实大部分城市是来自于这个燃油车辆的这个排放。那所以如果要解决未来城市越来越可能面临到的一些空气污染的危机，那是包括这个全球碳排放的危机，其实把燃油车转换成电动车是一个非常非常重要的工作。那我们也看到，其实许多国家在电动车的推动都有很多的政策目标在配合，但比较可惜是台湾目前还没有这样子一个比较明确的政策目标，所以我比较建议，其实政府应该把电动车推动层级拉到整个国家的气候的策略发展蓝图里面，去制定电动车的一个milestone， 比如说我们在哪一年度的电动车的在市场的销售占比要达到，比如说20%、30%，就像我们 Audi 有这个30% 的这样子一个 target。那还包括就是说我们在什么时候要把这个市售新车把这个燃油车给 phase out。那我觉得政府应该要有一个明确的这个目标定定。那第二个部分就是跟民间的沟通，其实政府应该扮演更重要的角色，因为我知道有些民众可能对于电动车的使用是不是真能够带来所谓的环境的效益或者社会的效益，还存在着一些质疑。但是有许多的研究结果其实都证明这件事。那我觉得政府可以扮演包括跟民众的沟通，那甚至包括跟可能还在抗拒的一些厂商之间的沟通因为这已经是一个不可避免的趋势。那最后我想要提到就是说，其实电动车目前的一个趋势，它更重要的是跟我们讲的 renewable energy 系统的一个整合，包括了电动车，它其实就是一个很重要的我们讲这个 energy storage system 的一个概念。那我觉得未来结合台湾的 ICT 的这个产业的一些力量，其实电动车的应用会有更大的一个效益的发生。
OK， 谢谢秘书长。我想刚才提到的这个教育的部分，我觉得其实在政府怎么样推动，然后让民众能够更了解电动车整个使用环境，我相信这个是一个非常非常 key 的角色。那我接下来请 Jay 是不是跟我们也分享一下从您的角度，对于这个政府能够怎么样帮助促进电动车发展，从您的看法是什么？
身为一个科技厂商来看这个角度第一个就是说，希望政府能够把后面整个能源政策定义清楚，因为大家可以去试想一下，未来假设满街都是电动车的时候，同时充电会对我们的电力系统带来什么样的影响？那这个部分其实飞鸿科技我们一直以来专注在电源供应器的这个产业上那过去10年之前开始注意到电动车在4年多前跟 Noodle 开始进行一些技术的合作。那对于这一些的使用方式，我们其实经过了很多的测试讨论还有验证。那目前在政府目前还没有很明确的政策告诉大家充电设备要怎么做，反而是你买一台车就自己装一台。那这个未来对我们整个的用电环境会有非常大的影响。不过像一个在台湾的厂商，其实我们已经思考到这个问题，所以4年前跟 Noodle 这边的合作，我们现在已经有一些解决方案，但是政府目前并没有把这个定为一个标准，也就是说未来在用电上这些冲击上，政府要赶快思考到，否则电力系统一定会是另外一个负担跟另外一个问题。
OK， 我想这电源管理的部分应该也会是未来一个很大的课题那其实就像刚才我们也是在马蒂斯简报里面有讲到一些，是促进台湾的智慧城市的发展，也会变成是在电动车发展上面一个比较中长期的一个目标。那我最后我还是请一下 John， 可以也是一样从您的观点，有没有在对于台湾的这个目前的政府政策上面有没有一些建议或者是你的想法？
除了以上专家们提出的这些建议以外，当然政府在公共充电的鼓励政策，是可以提升台湾充电电动车友善环境的一个很大的一环。那除了这个以外，还有一件事情也是很重要的，就是在家充电。因为家是最好的充电站。当你回家之后，你就不想要再出去了。它是一个你每天都会回来的地方。那所以在这个在家充电能够顺利安装，让每个人回家的时候，人 recharge 但是车子也在 recharge 那明天早上人车都是满电出门。这个事情是对电动车友善的国家，打造一个电动车友善的国家很重要的一环。到底我们回想一下我们正处于一个很重要的历史的转捩点。在交通产业，上一次有这样的转捩点是100年前，蒸汽机变成这个内燃机的时候。那我们大家都有幸在这个转捩点，能够为这个世界做一些好事，所以这个政府的力量是可以帮助台湾非常多的。
OK， 谢谢 John。那最后的话，我就请Matthias 如果从我们奥迪公司从一个汽车商的角度，我们怎么样能够来跟政府做合作的一些想法。
Well, in addition to what my colleagues here already mentioned, I think it's the education part, because still when we talk to people, including government people, but also the general public, people still don't know a lot of the basics. And I think this is important now also that our invited press, our friends, can also spread the gospel to make the basics understanding ready. For example, people are still surprised to hear that the e-tron can be charged in 30 minutes. They still believe it takes 8 hours to charge an electric car. So a lot of the basic concepts are still not understood. And adding to what John was already saying, I think we need a clear policy direction to say home charging, AC charging, outside of your home, DC charging, because you need the speed. And in a shopping mall, if it needs 8 hours to charge, if you charge for 30 minutes while you do your supermarket charging, the effect is quite minimal. But if you have a few speed charging stations in 10 minutes, with the e-tron you can already charge 115 kilometers. That's more than enough probably for the next 2 days. So I think the understanding needs to be there, and based on this understanding, some clear direction should be put forth.
OK， 谢谢 Matthias。好，那我希望刚才我们前面跟大家这些讨论的内容，其实基本上我们就是要强调的是，在台湾的电动车发展上面，需要靠大家不同的角色的公司或者政府单位一起来努力。好，那我们就谢谢大家今天的这个讨论，谢谢。
谢谢夏安，谢谢。